Hello there. Good to see you again. Um, One of the things that you can forget sometimes is that it really is a global pandemic. And well, as I think I said, I said last week, um, I should have been in Milan looking at the Lord's Supper. Um, then I got an email from the official title is the IFES, the International Fellowship of Evangelical Students. Um, when Jackie and I got married first, it's that long ago, we had a honeymoon, thankfully. We were able to go to Madeira, pretty much based on um, the salary that Jackie had at that point because I was a student. But, all credit to her, she kept me in the lifestyle that I had become accustomed to. But having had a honeymoon, I then had the opportunity to go as a student to represent Scotland at the international conference of the IFES. And we made various applications to various groups, and Jackie got to go as well. We went as a newly married couple representing Scotland. And so since that time, I've kind of kept up to date with IFES and just prayed for them. It's a student, a university student focused ministry that is global. And as a consequence, just seeing the global impact of this particular pandemic has been different, seeing it through Christians' eyes, literally around the world. And then this one came in, and this is from Italy. And well, as I say, I was supposed to be in Italy, and when I read this, it was just what became clear was the fact that this is something the way, not only the impact, but the way people have responded has been similar in lots of ways. This is entitled "Not Always Rainbows." The rainbows were everywhere. Rebecca Lacon, a student from the GBU in Naples. GBU is IFES in Italy, and this is obviously, as they say, the GBU in Naples. Rebecca Lacon could see the rainbows everywhere, brightening the balcony of each flat on her street. It struck me, sometimes you kind of think, well, that's what we do. People did that all around the planet. Above the colours, each picture displayed the same message. Andrà tutto bene. Everything will be okay. Each night the news reported the death toll, and sometimes accompanied by disturbing photos of corpses carried away in trucks. Yet the programme itself always finished with the same hopeful line. Andrà tutto bene. Again, it's just because of where it was in the lineup, in the kind of timeline. After the virus got out of China, Italy was the first European country that it really hit hard. And again, there was a time when everyone in the rest of the world, or at least Europe and America, they looked at what was happening in Italy as some kind of indication of what would happen in their country, or potentially could happen. And there was some very, very powerful journalism, and again, very powerful photojournalism. If you've seen any of the pictures from Italy, coffins being stacked up in supermarket freezers because they had run out of space, in mortuaries, in hospitals, and everywhere. And so images, again, you might have a different recollection of that time, but just right at the beginning, when you saw how it was impacting Italy, Italy was a country that was very definitely hit hard. But what Rebecca Lacon asks is, but will it really be Andra tutto bene? Will it really be okay? The university ministry in Naples bravely faced this question directly during the worst of the lockdown. With every online gathering, students voiced their worries about sick family members, delayed studies, and just their limited freedom, as many relied on the hope that life would return to normal after the virus passed. Staff at GBU Naples, sorry, GBU staff member, I'm doing my best here, this is my best, Francesco Sciano, reminded them that without Jesus there is no hope. Coronavirus offered us tremendous opportunities to remind people around us that death is a constant reality and that forgetting about it is a big mistake. Ecclesiastes 7, verse 2. We've touched on this at various points actually. One of the things that you recognise is when you have a pandemic, everyone's focused on how bad it is. But the reality is, people die in fairly significant numbers every day of the year. Death is a reality which we would often prefer not to look at. Harder to do that during a world pandemic. By studying Habakkuk and Revelation, the group looked at suffering through a biblical lens. Students were challenged to put their faith not in temporary solutions, but rather in Jesus, the conqueror of death. Rebecca says that the study allowed students to see their situation through God's eyes. She comments, we believe in a God who loves us and is preparing something much, much better for all of us. We need to remember that we won't be in this world forever, that suffering will end and God's justice will be established, as we read it in Habakkuk. Even if things are bad now, God will make everything right in His own timing. Rebecca also says that the movement was able to reach many new students with hope. Under normal circumstances, meeting numbers are low as many students commute into their city from their hometowns. Yet online ministry has made it possible to attend prayer meetings and various meetings. Pray for the GBU Naples as they follow up with Christian and non-Christian students who have joined various meetings online in the last few months. Let's just pray for GBU Italy generally. It is a terrible, awful pandemic, but it also throws into sharp relief very definite realities that happen in life even when we're not in a pandemic. And Rebecca Lacon, I think, is correct. If you're a Christian in this situation, then you too should be saying, at the very least to yourself, Andra tutto bene. Everything really will be all right. The point is, it doesn't always feel like that. Hence, when I just got this wee kind of email from the country, which for many people, certainly in terms of looking at some of the journalism and photojournalism at the beginning, Italy was horrific. It's good to hear from people who have been through it and who bring to it their own Christian perspective. Especially if you look to the next few months and think, oh no, not more of the same. Especially when you look at what's happening in Manchester and you think, what if that happens here? It's hard to simply say everything will be okay, but it will be, because God is good, and God is good all the time. Doesn't feel like it. This is the first week in 2 weeks when we've not had somebody in our family with some threatened positive test, or somebody. Well, Jackie's mum and dad are still um, coping with the virus, but not in hospital and doing as well as one could hope for. But everybody else is, whether it's school or what it's been, there's various times where it's been kind of everything's most definitely not okay. It's good to hear from somebody who, well, Italy did have it the worst for a very considerable number of weeks right at the beginning of this. It's good to remember. Maybe you could actually remember it in these terms. Andrà tutto bene. Because Christians have to go into every day with that clearly understood. Because with Him, whether you're in a pandemic or not, God goes with us. So, andrà tutto bene. Good to see you. Go with God, because I know God goes with you. See you sometime soon. Bye bye.